All right, to get started on the wheel and to make a perfect bowl, we're gonna start out by getting some clay first. And you need about 2 pounds of clay. That's pretty close. So once you have this, you should wedge it just a bit and pound it into a ball. Wedging is kneading it in a spiral, and this gets rid of air bubbles, and it also makes all the clay particles go in the same direction, which will help you on the wheel. Make sure your clay is nice and soft. All right, see, nice spiral. Now I can pound it into a ball. There we go, ready for the wheel. All right, next you need the following. You need an apron, so you stay clean. You need a bin, a big bowl filled with water, a sponge, a wooden tool, a needle tool, a metal rib, and a cutoff wire. You also need a bat. Make sure your bat is flat. Put it on, and you are ready to go. So you're gonna start by wetting your sponge, squeezing all the water out. So I'm not wetting the bat necessarily. I'm just getting it a little bit damp. I know exactly where the center is. My ball of clay, I want that exactly in the center of my bat. If I just put it on like this, see, it's gonna fall most likely when I start spinning it. So I kind of have to slam it on there, but still staying in the center. Just like that. Now with my finger, I'm sealing the bottom. Now it's not stuck to your bat yet. So the next thing you're gonna do is first wet your hands. We're gonna press that clay down just to make sure it's stuck to the bat. Keep your hands nice and wet. I like to keep sponge in my hand because that keeps my hands wet, but it might be hard to multitask. So from here on, when I touch my clay, my wheel's spinning and my hands are soaking wet. I'm gonna push the clay down, and I'm not just using my arms and my wrist. I'm gonna use my whole body to push the clay down. And I'm trying to keep it into a dome shape. I'm not making it as flat as a pancake either. So I think it's pretty stuck now. Now it's time to center it. Centering, you want to make sure that your hands don't move anymore and you are in control of the clay. So the clay should not be moving you all over. It helps by squeezing the clay in your hands to bring it up, center the top first, and bring it back down. Again, I'm not just using my arms and my wrist, I'm using my whole body. You should be able to see it, that I'm pushing in there. Keep my hands nice and wet. So I'm gonna squeeze the clay. See, the clay's coming up. When the clay's coming up, I'm bringing my hands up as well. And I'm trying to center the clay. I'm gonna show you an example. Exaggerated. Look at my hands. Do my hands move? Yes, they do. That means I'm not centered. So how do you know if you're centered? When your clay does not move anymore. So I'm gonna bring it back down. See, I'm crossing my thumbs, pushing my body weight on there. Now I'm gonna keep doing this a couple times, or as long as it takes, until I'm centered. So again, how do I know if I'm centered? Look at my hands, my fingers. Are they moving? If the answer is no, I am centered. Okay? This might take you some time in the beginning, and that's okay, but you will get used to it. Use your body weight. Lean in there with your whole body to help you. It should not just come from your wrist and your arms. All right, now I'm ready to open it because I'm making a bowl. I like to use my left thumb and pushing it in with my right hand. You can use both thumbs, you can use your fingers, but look, my elbows are always on my knees, so I'm stabilizing my arms. If you're doing it with floating arms, you most likely will get off-centered again on the inside. So now I need to check how much clay I have left at the bottom, right? I need a bottom that is about a 1/4 inch thick. So how do I check the thickness of my clay that's left? I use my needle tool, I poke it in, and then I'm gonna follow the needle tool with my finger until it touches the clay. Take the needle tool out. That's the thickness of my bottom, which is perfect. That gives me a little bit of wiggle room to still trim it, trim a foot on there, and it's not too thin and not too thick. If it was too thick, I know I can go deeper. If it's too thin, maybe start over. All right, so I got my bottom. I'm compressing it a little bit, meaning I'm pressing it, not pressing it in, but pressing it down, because I don't want it to form cracks when it starts drying. Still got very thick walls, so now I gotta thin out my walls. Left hand inside, right hand outside. Again, I like to use the sponge, so I'm gonna push the clay from the inside onto my knuckle that's on the outside. You see this bump here? That's from me pushing the clay out. My right hand is under this and it brings the clay up. So at the same time that I'm pushing it, I'm bringing the clay up. My elbows are still on my knees because I want to stay centered. I don't want floating elbows. See, so this is the first pull. I can probably do it again because my clay is still pretty thick. The walls are still pretty thick. Why would I make a cylinder if I end up making a bowl? I have a lot more control this way. Oops. Just got it upside down. I have a lot more control. If I start bringing it out right away, it might just collapse on me right away. I have a lot of water sitting in my clay with my sponge. I'm just gonna get it out. Also, I have a lot of clay here on the outside that I don't need, so with my wooden tool blocking my elbows, I'm just going to get rid of all that excess clay before I start making it a bowl. And then I'm cutting it loose with my needle tool. There you go. This clay can be recycled. Right, now I'm going to make it a bowl. My left hand always stays on the inside. My right hand is always on the outside. I'm going to push the clay out to make it a bowl. Start seeing that? Still, my elbows are on my knees. So now you need to decide. You need to decide what your bowl is going to look like. It's going to be a tall bowl. Is it going to be a wide bowl? Is it going to be rounded? Does it have straight edges going up, straight walls going up? It's up to you. I'm going to bring it out some more. So I'm going to gently keep pushing it and supporting it with my right hand on the outside. Also want to make sure my hands are wet so there's no traction. So if I want to make it a tall bowl, I can be pretty done. I think I want to make it a little wider. Don't want it to collapse. Again, all the excess water on the inside, get it out with your sponge. Get that rim nice and clean with your sponge. I can also use my metal rim. I can bend it to give it a curve. So my left hand is on the inside. It's going to push the clay into the metal rim. Helps get a nice curve from there, but you gotta be gentle. Don't push too hard. Alright, looking pretty good. We have the excess clay, we will recycle that. Clean your rim. rid of all the water and mud and slurry sitting in your bowl. All right, next step. Clean your bed. Right, this will just turn into dust otherwise. And with your wire tool, wire it loose. So you stretch, push it down on your bed with your finger and or your thumb. Cut it loose. This way, when your clay starts to dry, it can dry evenly and not get stuck in the bottom and create a crack in the bottom. I'm gonna put this away. You probably want to cover it overnight, and then it's time to clean your wheel.